Good morning. Thank you for joining us here today or online for this 29th anniversary remembrance ceremony. Thank you to the Oklahoma City Fire, Pipes, and Drums who led our procession. I'm Dr. Susan Chambers, Chair of the Oklahoma City National Memorial Foundation. We come here to remember. We are pleased to have several special guests with us today. Please hold your applause. U.S. Secretary of the Interior, Deb Haaland. Deputy Homeland Security Advisor for Resilience and Response, National Security Council, Caitlin Durkovich. We hope to have members of our delegation here today, but congressional voting got extended, and Senator Lankford, Congressman Bice, Lucas, and Cole are still in D.C. We so appreciate their key staff, as well as Senator Mullins' staff for joining us today. HUD Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary Richard Manuccio, HUD Regional Administrator Candace Valenzuela, Governor Kevin Stitt, Mayor David Holt, Councilperson Jo Beth Hammond, Councilperson Matt Hinkle, members of our State House and Senate Pro Tem Greg Treat and his wife, County Clerk Marissa Treat, as well as City Manager Craig Freeman. Blaine Arthur, Chairman of the Memorials Conscious Committee. Point of Grace, Shelley Breen, Denise Jones, and Lee Capolino. Chris Fleming, Vice Chair of the Oklahoma City National Memorial Foundation and Board of Trustees. And most importantly, family members, survivors, first responders, law enforcement, and friends of those who were killed, those who survived, and those changed forever on April the 19th, 1995. Please join me in welcoming our special guests. The names of those we read today serve as continuous inspiration for our mission and the teachings we share that remain valuable lessons for an ever-changing world. People from around the world come to learn from our history and witness our efforts of memorialization. By embracing the values of compassion, understanding, and hope, it is on this sacred ground that we work to find common ground. Our Memorial Conscious Committee, composed of family members, survivors, and first responders, upholds the memorial mission throughout all of our work. We thank our Conscious Committee for their service and welcome those who join us today. People who visit our Memorial Museum leave here feeling hopeful, more focused on humankind. Hope always wins out. Hope always wins over fear. That is why hope is in our mission statement. Forever inscribed on the gates of time and on the museum overlook is the preamble of our mission statement. In 1995, Oklahoma City police officer Wade Gorley was at home getting ready for work and then rushed to the bombing site and continued to work long hours for weeks. Now chief of the Oklahoma City Police Department, he is a member of the Memorial Conscious Committee and Memorial Trustee. Soon to retire after 34 years as an Oklahoma City police officer, Chief Wade Gorley is here to read our mission statement. Chief, we thank you for your years of service.
We come here to remember those who were killed, those who survived, and those changed forever. May all who leave here know the impact of violence. May this memorial offer comfort, strength, peace, hope, and serenity. Please join me in 168 seconds of silence.
We call on our God today as we gather, a day to remember those who were killed, those who survived, and those changed forever. While this month of April is a month filled with longing, it is also a month marked by spring, a time when newness emerges. Birds seem to sound a little louder, and the sun shines a little longer and brighter, and the colors of the trees and the plants just fill the once cold and gloomy atmosphere with newness and life, vibrant life. This time gives us hope. We believe that our God is a God of hope, and He can turn ashes into beauty. He can bring order out of chaos, and He's the one who declares victory over evil. Therefore, it is my prayer today that our God of hope will help us. Yes, help us as we remember. Help us as we grieve. Help us as we stand against evil and work toward love and peace on earth as it is in heaven. As a community, we suffered many losses. And here around us today are the scars to prove them. But also around us, we have one another. So on this April day, let us have hope, because while tragedy brought us together, our unity has made us stronger. Receive this blessing from the book of Romans, chapter 15, verse 13. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and all peace as you place your trust in Him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of His Spirit. Here today we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Josue. And thank you for your stewardship at First Church, which has remained a steadfast neighbor and partner. Your church continues to be a light to downtown Oklahoma City as a place where all are welcome. The relationship between our police and fire departments that has been developed over the years is a relationship you do not see in every city, and that special relationship had a lot to do with the coordinated response that day on April the 19th, 1995. Please stand, if you are able, for the raising of colors by the combined honor guard from the Oklahoma City Police and Fire Departments and IMSA. The singing of our national anthem will be performed by Oklahoma's own Point of Grace.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. Thank you to the combined honor guard of the Oklahoma City Police and Fire Departments and IMSA. Thank you also to Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame inductees and 3-time Grammy-nominated Point of Grace. Welcome home. In the days following the bombing, we witnessed support from every part of our community that we could possibly imagine. I remember so many examples of people doing the right thing, and from that, the Oklahoma Standard was born. It lives on today as the model by which we as Oklahomans live our lives. It is important that young people not born at the time of the bombing understand what this meant to a community and what it can mean to the world. It is vital that we always remember, while continuing to tell this story, making it relevant to generations to come. Focused on uniting our city as one Oklahoma City, understanding the events of April 19, 1995, brought us all together as one because of the community spirit that was born in our darkest hour. Here to speak on behalf of our city is Memorial Board of Trustee, Mayor David Holt.
Well, thank you, Dr. Chambers. We as a community are grateful for your service and that of your board, volunteers, and donors. Our gratitude as well to the remarkable Carrie Watkins and her remarkable team. Thank you to the governor and all our public officials and guests who have joined us today. Secretary Holland, welcome back to Oklahoma City. Your life, service, and passions are unique inspiration to the people of Oklahoma, especially our thriving and vital Native American and Indigenous communities. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we deeply appreciate our longtime partnership with the National Park Service that you oversee. Thank you to everyone who is here today to remember, and those in the media who help us share this ceremony with many thousands more. First of all, as always, on behalf of the people of Oklahoma City, my deepest condolences to those who lost a loved one on April 19th, 1995. My empathy for those who survived and were forever changed, and our city's eternal gratitude to our first responders, as well as those who came to our aid from around the nation and the world. On 7 occasions, I have stood at this podium or at the pulpit across the street or in front of the cameras precipitated by a pandemic. Each time, I have explored a common theme. We gather here to remember and honor, but we also gather here to learn and to teach. This has weighed heavy on my heart each of these 7 years, because this is a place where Americans killed Americans. And my time as mayor of this city has coincided with national political vitriol, the likes of which our country has rarely seen. The lessons of April 19th, 1995 were written for such a time. The mission statement of this memorial says, "May all who leave here know the impact of violence." Indeed, violence is what gave us this scar in our downtown. This pool, these chairs, this place are beautiful and peaceful. But we know that a building and a street are supposed to be here. It is a scar that will never fully heal because 29 years ago, a truck pulled up just a few feet from where I stand. Inside were about a dozen plastic barrels filled with an explosive combination of ammonium nitrate, nitromethane, and diesel fuel. Riding alongside those barrels were invisible barrels that have always been present at such moments. Those barrels were filled with hate, intolerance, ignorance, bigotry, conspiracy theories, misinformation, and dehumanization. Inside those barrels was an explosive combination of extreme political views and an arrogant and stubborn unwillingness to accept pluralism, democracy, and compromise. You see, the violence that occurred on this day 29 years ago did not just appear out of thin air. It was not just a chemical reaction. It was the natural and logical byproduct of certain human behaviors. It was the inevitable end of a dark path, and it is a story humans have repeated for centuries. The barrels that carried that toxic stew of human behaviors sat outside the gas chambers at Auschwitz. They rode in the cargo hold on 9/11. They have stowed away with humanity since time began. We cannot seem to lose them. And so we must reckon with them. And this place reminds us to do that. This place and this day reminds us of our obligations as humans, as residents of Oklahoma City. This year is a national election year. That is the ultimate expression of our country's democratic experiment. Our founders knew our flaws as humans, and the Constitution was their antidote, their attempt to provide us a way to settle our differences without violence, through better conversations that lead to nonviolent outcomes. Elections provide us our outlet. Our American democracy is a unique gift in human history, and yet we still feel the presence of those invisible barrels on our TV screens, in the comments, at the dinner table. Words of hate and division and dehumanization. The barrels are creeping closer. This place reminds us that those barrels should be buried like toxic waste. And as mayor of this scarred city, I ask you to bring a shovel. You can't be passive. You didn't ask for this obligation. It was given to you, but it is ours nonetheless. We must each be ambassadors of kindness, peace, love, and understanding, emissaries of better conversations. We must be willing and able to challenge words of dehumanization, words that cast fellow Americans as enemies. The path to violence is paved with such words, and I ask you to step into and repair the breach. I ask this knowing full well it is not always comfortable. Important things are often hard. Standing against division can sometimes be an act of division itself. But between loved ones and friends, that division can be healed. This place reminds us that temporary discomfort is worth it. And sometimes it is not someone else, but we ourselves who need the course correction. Sometimes this reflecting pool acts as a mirror, and we must not look away from its gaze. Why must we do these things this year and every year? Because we come here to remember the alternative to unity and love and respect. The alternative is this. And we don't want more places and more days of remembrance. This should be enough. May Americans pay heed to the lessons of April 19th, 1995, and may we as the people of Oklahoma City always be the first to carry that message. Thank you.
I'll take a shovel. Mayor Holt, thank you for joining us today and for your leadership and support. As we all know, the target of the bomb was the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, but several state employees are in meetings in that building. 2 nearby buildings were full of state employees, including the Oklahoma Water Resources Building and the Journal Record Building that housed several state agency offices and now houses the museum. 2 state employees in the Water Resources Building were killed, and more than 100 state workers were injured that morning. Earlier this week, we were honored to be at the state capitol to honor all impacted by this attack. And a special thanks to Representatives Rick West and Ellen Hefner for the resolution of remembrance, and to Ag Secretary Blaine Arthur for her powerful testimony. Governor Stitt joined us in the House chambers to read the resolution, and today we are honored to have him with us again. Governor Stitt.
One moment, 9:02 a.m. on April 19th, 1995. Oklahoma changed forever. Terror struck the heart of America. Evil tried to tear us apart. Evil took the lives of 168 individuals and injured hundreds more. But we looked evil in the eye and we came together as one Oklahoma. We showed our strength, our resilience, and our courage. Out of the rubble of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building came the Oklahoma Standard. And today, on the 29th anniversary, we recommit ourselves to that standard. Today, we remember the victims, we honor the survivors, and we surround them and their families in our prayers. I have Secretary Blaine Arthur and Secretary Susan Winchester on my heart as well. Dr. Peggy Clark, Blaine's mother and Susan's sister, was working for the U.S. Department of Agriculture on that fateful morning. Secretary Arthur and Secretary Winchester, they honor Dr. Clark's legacy by personifying the Oklahoma Standard. They serve their state and their communities. They help their neighbors, and they carry on the legacy of Dr. Clark in the state that she loved. After this tragedy, neighbors lifted up neighbors. The spirit of generosity invaded our state. Our people banded together in a manner unique to Oklahoma. That legacy lives on, and it lives in each of us that call Oklahoma home. The Oklahoma Standard didn't stop at the borders of our state. It affected the nation. People came from all over to assist in the rescue, recovery, and the rebuilding efforts. The remarkable efforts of local, state, and federal law enforcement, firefighters, search and rescue teams, public and private medical professionals, and thousands of volunteers from across the nation provided comfort and aided our recovery. I'm so grateful to former Governor Frank Keating, who led Oklahoma through our darkest hour. It was the ultimate test of strength, and we're thankful for your leadership. In the aftermath of the attack, I remember New York sending their own firefighters to help Oklahoma City, to help us pick up the pieces. And we repaid that kindness after terror struck our nation once more on 9/11. We showed the world what it means for neighbors to walk with neighbors. Time after time, the people of Oklahoma and this nation prove that evil does not prosper. A few days after this tragedy in 1995, Reverend Billy Graham came to Oklahoma City to share some of his faith with our grieving community. He said, "Times like this will do one of two things. It will either make us hard and bitter and angry at God, or it will make us tender and open and help us to reach out in faith." It's clear what the people of Oklahoma chose to do. We faced down with evil, and we stood as one Oklahoma. Mourning families preserved, our leaders showed strength, and our pursuit of justice never wavered. 1 Peter 3:9 and 10 says, "Do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult. On the contrary, repay evil with blessing so that you may inherit a blessing." The chapter goes on to say, "Who is going to harm you if you are eager to do good? Do not fear their threats. Do not be frightened. We stand strong together, and we are not afraid." To the families and loved ones of the victims, we offer our prayers of healing and our support today. The legacy of those we lost lives in each one of us who call Oklahoma home. The Oklahoma Standard, that legacy, remains alive and well in our state. And as we continue to write Oklahoma's story, we honor the memory of those we lost by living lives filled with purpose, giving all glory to God. Thank you all for being here today. May God bless you and your families, and may God continue to bless the great state of Oklahoma.
Thank you, Governor Stitt. Today, we are joined by U.S. Secretary of the Interior, Deb Haaland. She is the first Native American to serve in Congress and now United States Cabinet Secretary. Secretary Haaland has been an outspoken voice against violence. With a focus on educating future generations about the consequences of violence and the importance of empathy, tolerance, and respect for one another in finding common ground, we can build a more compassionate and inclusive society. Speaking on behalf of our nation, U.S. Secretary of Interior Deb Haaland.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today on this somber anniversary. I am deeply grateful for the invitation and to our hosts here at the memorial. Governor Stitt, Mayor Holt, and my colleagues from the National Park Service, I'm honored to be with you here today, as well as a fellow New Mexican, Caitlin Durkovich. Above all, I am humbled to stand alongside the survivors and family members of those we lost 29 years ago. Just before we stepped up to this podium, I had an opportunity to tour the Memorial Museum and bear witness to the memory of this painful chapter of our nation's history. On that day, we stood together and grieved, all of us, all Americans. We grieved for our federal family with the thousands of dedicated officials who were shocked into horror that day. We grieved for the 19 children who were murdered, whose lives were only just beginning. On that day, my child, Soma, a toddler, safe in their swing at home, sat while I worked quietly in the living room with the news on. Soma doesn't remember the events of that day, but I will never forget the heartache I felt for the families who had lost their little ones, who had every reason to believe that they had brought their children to a safe place, or what should have been a safe place. I held my child close. On this beautiful memorial ground, we remember the fateful events of that day. On the daily news footage, the first responders who ran in when everyone was running out, the emergency crews who helped in the aftermath and brought the injured to safety, and we remember how we felt. The pain that the Oklahoma City community felt that day will never leave us. We united behind shared grief and the idea that our fellow Americans deserve to feel safe. And as we stand here and reflect on this tragedy, we are empowered by our ability as a community, both a national and global one, to work together to overcome the anxiety each of us face when events like this happen. We can't do this without telling our story, without honoring the fallen through memorials like this one that the National Park Service helps to interpret and steward with the utmost respect. To our team members here, thank you for your service to our country. Our public servants help make sites like this possible and help us to tell America's story, even when it's heartbreaking. We at the Interior Department will live up to that sacred responsibility by being good stewards of this memorial for generations to come. I appreciate everyone who works so hard every day to care for this essential place, to honor it for those who were lost so that we may never forget their sacrifice. But we can only do this because of our partners on the ground, from local communities to state-level officials, to our partners throughout the private and nonprofit sectors. We do this work hand in hand because it takes each of us together to tell the stories and reflect on the traumas that bind us together as Americans. Places like this help us reflect on the pain and tragedy of the past, but they also empower us to always work toward peace and understanding of one another. The Survivor Tree is a testament to that enduring power. Together, we stand in its shade, made possible by its strong foundation, and we reflect on what it's seen. We marvel at its persistence, as will our grandchildren, after many of us are gone. When I look at the Survivor Tree, I think about the countless lives it has touched, that this special place has touched. I think about its lasting impact from the survivors and family members who come here to remember their loved ones, to the community members who rely on this place to process their own pain and heartache. This place is, without a doubt, special. And I'm so grateful to the folks here in Oklahoma City for keeping it alive for us all. My child is grown now. Many like them may have little memory of that day. But thanks to this memorial and those who steward it, they and other young people will know this story. These Americans will live on in our collective memory. Thank you all so much for being here today. It is an honor to be welcomed here and to share in this moment with you. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Secretary Holland, for joining us to remember. Music played a vital role in our healing after the bombing. How many times have we wished that we could rewrite history? How we wish the scars would disappear with the wounds. In the singing of Heal the Wound, listen to the message that Point of Grace conveys about scars of the past having a purpose.
I used to wish that I could rewrite history, and I used to dream that each mistake could be erased. Then I could just pretend I never knew the me back then. I used to pray that you would take this shame away. I had all the evidence of who I've been, but it's the memory of the place you brought me from that keeps me on my knees. Even though I'm free, heal the wound, but leave the scar. A reminder of how merciful you are. I am broken, torn apart. So take the pieces of this heart, heal the wound, but leave the scar. I have not lived a life that boasts of anything, and I don't take pride in what I bring, but I build an altar with the rubble that you found me in, and every song will sing of what you can redeem. Heal the wound, but leave the scar. A reminder of how merciful you are. I am broken, torn apart. So take the pieces of this heart, heal the wound, but leave the scar. Oh, everything you've done for me, don't let me forget. Yeah, the beauty and the suffering. Heal the wound, but leave the scar. A reminder of how merciful you are. I am broken and torn apart. So take the pieces of this heart, heal the wound, but leave the scar. Leave the scar.
Wow. The survivor tree has its scars, dating back to more than 100 years ago, yet still embodies our nation's spirit of hope and healing, strength and resilience. The roots of the Survivor Tree will always be here, deeply grounded in the aftermath of the Oklahoma City bombing. The Survivor Tree faced a different test in 2020, this time by a devastating ice storm. You may remember the memorial staff and Oklahoma Forestry Services crews scrambled to save the tree, and true to its resilient nature, the tree once again survived. Shortly after the bombing, it has been the responsibility of Mark Bays, Urban Forestry Coordinator with the state of Oklahoma, to look after the Survivor Tree. In addition to the ongoing innovative preservation efforts, Mark has also helped to propagate the tree itself by assisting with the planting of survivor tree cuttings around the Oklahoma City metro. Over the years, thousands of seedlings grown from the seeds gathered at the tree have been distributed to the public. Mark has told the story of the survivor tree across the nation and around the world. We are pleased to present Mark with a unique William Henry knife named the Survivor Tree Knife in a project with local family-owned company of B.C. Clark. 50 handcrafted knives were sold at B.C. Clark stores with $25,000 donated back to the Oklahoma National Memorial and Museum to continue the important mission of remembrance and education. Mark is retiring this month. This next part is a surprise to Mark. Join me in welcoming to the stage the man that joins our memorial facilities team in being caretaker of the Survivor Tree, Mark Bays. We have just presented Mark with the final Survivor Tree knife with a wood handle handcrafted from the bark of the Survivor Tree from the ice storm of 2020. Giving the gift to Mark was Mark's supervisor, Oklahoma Department of Agriculture Secretary Blaine Arthur, who is chairman of the Memorial's Conscious Committee, and joined by Oklahoma City National Memorial Museum President and CEO Kerry Watkins. Mark, let this one-of-a-kind Survivor Tree knife serve as our profound appreciation for your dedication in preserving the Survivor Tree and for your commitment in sharing its story with people around the world. Now, don't worry, he promises to volunteer now in helping us with this important tree. Mark, we really appreciate you helping all of us in spreading our branches. We are so honored Caitlin Durkovich, Special Assistant to the President and Deputy Homeland Security Advisor for Resilience and Response at the White House National Security Council, joins us to deliver this year's anniversary ceremony message. As Senior Director, Ms. Durkovich is responsible for the advancement of national policies and programs that enhances the resilience of the United States and strengthens the U.S. posture to physical and cyber threats to the nation's critical infrastructure. We are grateful to her dedication towards using lessons learned right here on these grounds in working against violence and terrorism throughout our nation. Here to share lessons learned by working together from the National Security Council is Caitlin Durkovich.
Thank you, Dr. Chambers, for that very kind introduction. To my fellow New Mexican Secretary Holland, Governor Stitt, Mayor Holt, Chief Gorley, the amazing and remarkable Kerry Watkins, Pastor Josue, and to the families and survivors that are here today, thank you. It is an honor to be here with you. This is the second time, my second time marking this somber yet hopeful occasion. I was fortunate enough to join you 9 years ago for the 20th commemoration. For half of my working life, I have been a federal employee, working in buildings not unlike the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building. All of us, myself included, have regularly passed through federal buildings, whether to renew a passport, gain access to federal benefits and programs, to join the armed forces, to mail a package, and we take our security and safety for granted. 29 years ago today, as the workday was beginning, earnest and humble public civil servants walked into the doors of the buildings that once stood behind me. Over 500 people called the Murrah Federal Building their workplace. Many used the daycare inside their building to watch their children as they went to work. At 9:02 a.m., their lives changed forever. What transpired here 29 years ago remains the deadliest act of homegrown terrorism in U.S. history. Most of my tenure in the federal government, first as Assistant Secretary for Infrastructure Protection at the Department of Homeland Security, and now as the Deputy Homeland Security Advisor for Resilience and Response at the White House, has been dedicated to preventing the kinds of tragedies that happened here 29 years ago. President Biden believes, as do I, that it is the duty of the federal government to ensure the security of federal facilities and to protect the workers and Americans who live, work, and do business in these buildings. We're here today to remember those who were killed, those who survived, and those who changed forever. My life and my work and the work of the federal government were changed forever by what happened here as well, and by how we responded, and by how we recovered, and by how we have become more resilient together. To that end, let me talk a bit about how the federal government has changed, in part because of what happened here, and how we work every day to try and prevent something like this from happening again at a federal facility. First, in the aftermath of the bombing, President Bill Clinton formed something called the Interagency Security Committee, or the ISC, and ordered federal agencies and law enforcement professionals to use the lessons learned here in Oklahoma to better protect all federal facilities. This body created basic security standards now common at all federal buildings: metal detectors, fencing, basic identification requirements, and additional protections for daycare centers like the one that stood here at the Murrah Building. The ISC is constantly assessing the threat landscape to ensure the standards meet the threat. The ISC thrives today and actively works to protect the people who live, work, and use federal facilities. I chair this body along with my colleagues at the Department of Homeland Security. The Biden-Harris administration has not let its eye off this important work. In fact, we have doubled down. Last November, President Biden signed an executive order to update and direct that every federal agency comply with the ISC security standards so they meet the challenge of the current threat environment. We now are also working to ensure that our efforts to protect federal facilities reflect the fundamental changes in how we work, such as how to protect a distributed public officials and civilian workforce that work from home or other remote locations and have increasingly become the target of adversaries who view them as a symbol of democracy. That's all to say that what happened here in Oklahoma still rests heavy in our hearts, and particularly today is at the top of the mind for the president and all of us focused on protecting Americans from acts of violence that have no place in our society. Unfortunately, the threat to the homeland, and particularly to federal facilities and workers, remains real and persistent today. Domestic violent extremist attacks have risen over the past decade, and they frequently target government facilities and officials. That means there's more work that we can do, and there is an imperative to remain vigilant. The memory of April 19th, 1995 is a lesson to every American. There is no place for political violence in America. As Mayor Holt and Governor Stitt have said, that's the Oklahoma standard. And as the president has said, that's the American standards. Myself, the members of the Interagency Security Committee, the leaders of the Federal Protective Service, and others in law enforcement, what we refer to as the Federal Physical Security family, will continue working day and night to address these threats. I want to extend an open invitation to all of you to tell us how we can do better and to tell us what more we can do. Having worked with state, local, federal security, law enforcement officials over much of my career, folks like Chief Gorley, Chris Hayes from the Federal Protective Service, and Acting Senior Agent in Charge Sonia Garcia and her team at the FBI field office here in Oklahoma City, they all come to mind. And we have in this country some of the most capable and professional law enforcement officials on earth. And in my experience, they all feel a deep connection to this memorial and to Oklahoma City. They, like me, feel that their lives and careers were changed forever by what happened here. Some were even inspired to become law enforcement and government officials, dedicated to both serving out and protecting the functions of government and our democracy as a result of what happened here today. Our collective resolve to never let this happen again is how we bear witness to the memory and the legacy of those who were killed and those who survived. Thank you very much for the honor to be here, and God bless you.
So much pain and no good reason why. You cried until the tears run dry, and nothing here can make you understand the one thing that you've held so dear is slipping from your hand. You say, why does it go this way? Why? And all I can say is, somewhere down the road, there'll be answers to the questions. Somewhere down the road, though we cannot see it now. And somewhere down the road, you will find mighty arms reaching for you, and they will hold the answers at the end of the road. Yesterday I thought I'd seen it all. I thought I'd climb the highest wall, and now I see the learning never ends, and all I know to do is keep on walking round with Ben, saying, why does it go this way? Why? And all I can say, somewhere down the road, there'll be answers to the questions. And somewhere down the road, though we cannot see it now. And somewhere down the road, you will find mighty arms reaching for you, and they will hold the answers at the end of the road. Ooh, at the end of the road. The end of the road. And you say, why does it go this way? Why? And all I can say is, somewhere down the road, there'll be answers to the questions. down the road, you will find mighty arms reaching for you, and they will hold the answers. Yes, they will hold the answers. They will hold the answers at the end of the road. At the end of the road.
Good morning. We come here to remember those at the Oklahoma Water Resources Board building. Trudy Jean Rigney. Robert N. Chipman. We remember those at the Athenian Building Jobs Corps. Catherine Elizabeth Ridley. Anita Christine Hightower. We remember rescue worker Rebecca Needham Anderson. We remember those killed in the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, United States Secret Service, 9th floor. Alan G. Witcher. Kathy Lynn Seidel. Linda G. McKinney. Mickey B. Maroney. Donald Ray Leonard. Cynthia L. Brown. We remember our friends and family with the Drug Enforcement Administration, 9th floor. Kenneth Glenn McCullough. Carrie Ann Lenz and baby Michael James Lenz III. My mother, Rona Lynn Keener Chafee. Carol June Chip Fields. Shelley D. Bland.
We remember those who were killed with the Department of Housing and Urban Development, 8th floor. Clarence Eugene Wilson, Sr. Francis Fran Ann Williams. Michael D. Weaver. David Jack Walker. Jules A. Valdez. Leora Lee Sells. Lanny Lee David Scroggins. Antonio Tony C. Reyes. Dr. George Michael Howard, DVM. Susan Jane Farrell. Kimberly K. Clark. Donald Earl Burns, Sr. David Neil Burkett. Peter R. Avillanoza. My father, Ted L. Allen. We remember our friends and family with the Department of Housing and Urban Development, 7th floor. Joanne Wittenberg. John Carl Van Ness III. John Thomas Stewart. Terry Smith Reese. Patricia Ann Nix. Betsy J. Beebe McConnell. James A. McCarthy II. Mary Leisure Renty. Teresa Lee Taylor Lauderdale. Anne Kreinberg. Thompson Eugene Jean Hodges, Jr. J. Colleen Giles. Linda Louise Florence. Judy J. Fro Fisher. Castine Brooks Hearn Devereaux. Diana Lynn Day. Kim R. Cousins. Andrea Yavette Blanton. Diane E. Hollingsworth Althouse. We remember our friends and family with the Department of Housing and Urban Development, 5th floor. Hall Gregory Beatty Brocksterman.
We remember our friends of the United States Marine Corps recruiting 6th floor. Captain Randolph A. Guzman, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Benjamin Lorenzo Davis, United States Marine Corps. We remember those with the U.S. Customs 5th floor. Claude Arthur Medeiros, Senior Special Agent. Paul D. Ice, Senior Special Agent. We remember our friends and family with the Department of Agriculture 5th floor. Rita Bender Long. Carol Sue Khalil. Doris Adele Higginbottom. Richard Dick Cummins. Dr. Margaret L. Peggy Clark. James E. Bowles. Olin Burl Bloomer. We remember those with the United States Army Recruiting Battalion, 4th floor. Wanda Lee Watkins. Kayla Marie Titsworth. Dolores D. Stratton. My mother, Master Sergeant Victoria Vicky L. Son. John C. Moss III. Peggy Louise Holland. Karen Gist Carr. Sergeant First Class Lola Bolden, United States Army.
We remember our friends and family with the Department of Transportation, Federal Highway, 4th floor. John A. Youngblood. My father, Johnny Allen Wade. Rick L. Tomlin. Michelle A. Reeder. Jerry Lee Parker. Renata Ann Newberry Woodbridge. James K. Martin. Larry James Jones. Michael Carrillo. Mark Allen Bolte. Lucio Allman Jr. We remember our friends and family with the Federal Employees Credit Union, 3rd floor. Teresa Joe Mathis Wharton. Virginia M. Thompson. Victoria Jeanette Texter. Karen Howell Shepard. Sonia Lynn Sanders. Christy Rosas. Claudine Ritter. Jill Diane Randolph. Frankie Ann Merrill. Claudette Duke Meek. Kathy Cagle Linan. Valerie Jo Kelch. Alvin J. Justice. Christy Yolanda Jenkins. Robin Ann Huff and baby Amber Denise Huff. Linda Colleen Housley. Sheila R. Gigger, driver, and baby Gregory N. Driver II. Jamie Falkowski Genzer. Kathy A. Finley. Kimberly Ruth Burgess. Woodrow Clifford Woody Brady.
We remember our friends and family with the Defense Security Service, 3rd floor. Robert G. Westbury. Larry L. Turner. Norma Jean Johnson. Peter L. DeMaster. Harley Richard Cottingham. We remember our visitor on the 2nd floor, Scott D. Williams. We remember our friends and family from the America's Kids Child Development Center, 2nd floor. Colton Wade Smith. Chase Dalton Smith. Dominique Reve Johnson London. Blake Ryan Kennedy. Wanda Lee Howell. Kevin Lee Gottschall II. Tevin DeAndre Garrett. Tyler Santoy Eves. Brenda Faye Daniels. JC Ray Coyne. Elijah S. Coverdale. Aaron M. Coverdale. My brother, Antonio and Sarah Cooper, Jr. Anthony Christopher Cooper II. Dana Leanne Cooper. Zachary Taylor Chavez. Danielle Nicole Bell. Miss Bailey Almond.
We remember our family and friends from the General Services Administration, 1st floor. Michael L. Loudenslager. Stephen Douglas Curry. We remember our friends and family from the Social Security Administration, 1st floor. Sharon Louise Wood Chestnut. W. Stephen Williams. Julie Marie Welch. Robert N. Walker, Jr. Luther H. Trainer. LaRue A. Trainer. Michael George Thompson. Charlotte Andrea Lewis Thomas. Emilio Tapia. Eula Lee Mitchell. Derwin W. Miller. Courtney J. McRaven. Reverend Gilbert X. Martinez. Robert Lee Luster, Jr. Aurelia Donna Luster. Airman First Class Lakeisha Richardson Levy. Raymond Lee Johnson. Jean Nutting Hurlbert. Dr. Charles E. Hurlbert. Thomas Lynn Harthorne, Sr. My great uncle, Ronald Vernon Harding, Sr.
We continue to remember our friends and family from the Social Security Administration first floor. Cheryl E. Hammond. Ethel L. Griffin. Margaret Betterton Goodson. Laura Jane Garrison. Mary Ann Fritzler. Dawn Fritzler. Ashley Megan Eccles. Catherine Louise Cregan. Gabrielle D.L. Bruce. Peachlyn Bradley. My grandmother, Carol Louise Bowers. Cassandra K. Booker. Olita C. Biddy. Paola Battle. Calvin Battle. Sandra G. Sandy Avery. Pamela Cleveland Argo. Richard A. Allen. Teresa Antoinette Alexander.
Thank you to our readers for serving this important role. Saplings of the survivor tree are available following today's ceremony in front of the museum. Today, everyone is invited to visit the museum for free as part of Cox Community Day. The museum will be open from now until 6 o'clock with last entry at 5 o'clock. Next weekend, we look forward to hosting runners from 50 states and 12 countries as they come to Oklahoma City to run to remember. This celebration of life is in honor of those who were killed, those who survived, and those changed forever. We hope you will sign up to help hand out medals. Nothing is more inspiring to the runners than to have a family member, a survivor, or a first responder put a medal around their neck as they cross the finish line. Or if you are running or walking like me, we will see you there. Thanks to Mayor Holt and Governor Stitt for being a part of those races and participating, and to Secretary Arthur, who is running the half. This is a community event that allows us to tell our story again and again. After you've visited the field of empty chairs today, family members, survivors, and first responders are invited to a reception inside the museum until noon. Please enter through the 6th Street entrance. We'd like to thank all of you for joining us for this 29th anniversary Remembrance Ceremony. Thanks.
And you've been watching the Remembrance Ceremony over at the Oklahoma City Memorial and Museum. We will have more special coverage of this Day of Remembrance in Oklahoma City tonight on KOCO 5 News.
You can also find our coverage on our website, KOCO.com, and the KOCO app.